Hi, I'm Amit Desai. I'm a producer and I'm a Whistling Woods International alumni. Well, I've been a producing student, so for me, firstly, filmmaking is about, it's actually a business for me, to be really honest. I understand it's a storytelling process and you have to be extremely creative to, get your things across to people. But to be able to do that, you need money, so it's business also at the same time. So I would like to say that this is a creative, for a producer actually, this is a creative use of money. In terms of once you have money at your disposal, you should know where to spend, and what is more important to know is where not to spend. So that needs to be taken care of, while producing a film. So initially when I came to Whistling Woods, I was just an audience. I only used to, as far as films were concerned, the only thing that I knew about film was how to watch them. So I came in as an audience, I came in as a viewer, without having any knowledge about the entire process of filmmaking. And what happened to me in Whistling Woods was a complete eye-opener in terms of what all goes into this entire process of filmmaking. And obviously we had, I am from the first batch, and we had some really amazing faculty coming over and teaching us a lot of things. And these people were also working in the industry at the same time, so the experience that they brought, was very first hand, was very current, was very today, which helped us understand how the film industry, outside, the real film industry outside Whistling Woods must be, because we used to be in our class all the time, so these faculty, became like a doorway for us to understand how the film industry outside would be. So that really helped. And I think the biggest asset, that I gained from Whistling Woods was the team, because these are the people who I'm still working with, people from my batch, other batches, and these are the people who I've made films with, out there in the real world, And thanks to Whistling Woods, we got to meet each other, we got to understand each other, and it's a bond, I think, which will now go on forever, So yeah, so Whistling Woods just made it all happen for us actually. Actually, the education that I received, at Whistling Woods International helped us in many ways, because I'll tell you from my own personal experience, once we stepped out of this institute, since we were newcomers, as such, not much was expected from us in terms of filmmaking knowledge, But because of the education that I had from Whistling Woods International, I could, have a meaningful conversation with the industry professionals outside, and I could kind of make sense, which was a surprising factor for them also, because also they didn't know that this is the quality of education that students must be receiving at Whistling Woods International, So that really helped, So the transition that you're talking about. I didn't really feel any transition, because I felt that I am already a filmmaker while I was in Whistling Woods, and all I had to do was just step out of Whistling Woods and go out in the real world, So the filmmaker in me, which you're seeing right now, was born in Whistling Woods, was developed in Whistling Woods. All we did was just packed our bags and stepped out of Whistling Woods and stepped into the real world outside, and that's about it. So Bayar is a Gujarati film directed by another Whistling Woods International alumni from the first batch. His name is Abhishek Jain, and it's done extremely well. And I am the creative producer on that film. So when I was brought on board, for Bayar, which was right from day one, I was involved in it right from its scripting to how to form a team together, what kind of people to take, what kind of people should we avoid, what should be in the film, so that it it doesn't go beyond commercial parameters, So I come in with these kind of inputs, you know, which is more business related. And once the post was done, you know, then is when the producer kind of comes, you know, to the forefront, because you know that is when the marketing of the film begins. So how to pitch the film to the audience, you know, what kind of perception do you want to create, what kind of image do you want this film to have, you know, what should you tell people to, you know, bring them to theaters, is something that was decided by me, you know, where Abhishek took a back seat and I took a front seat, you know. And then since it being a Gujarati film, we didn't really have any distributors, so we distributed it on our own, which again is a creative process in its own way. You know, distribution also because you have to first understand your film, understand your target audience, and you know, understand that these are the kind of shows that you will need, these are the kind of theaters which are correct for you, which again is a creative process, you know. So I was involved in that, you know. So all these things, you know, I was involved in and I was a part of, which I think is a job of a creative producer, you know. So this is what I, you know, exactly did on BAR.